Climate change is one of the biggest threats the world faces. Ban Ki-moon, the United Nations General Secretary, has described it as big a threat as war. And our own former Chief Scientific Advisor, David King, has said it's a greater threat than international terrorism. And the reason they're both saying that it's such a threat is because the evidence suggests that if we carry on emitting greenhouse gases, principally carbon dioxide, into the atmosphere, our planet will warm, having severe effects on weather patterns, which will lead to effects on water availability, food production, severe weather events, all of which will combine to threaten people and the natural world.
I'm sure climate change is the biggest issue that we face globally at the moment. If we don't tackle it, the impacts are going to be very visible very quickly. So we have to tackle it. We have to tackle it in all our interests.
The evidence that we have from analysis which has been done by the IEA and others is that in order to get down to something like 450 parts per million of carbon dioxide, which is the sort of aim in order to stabilise the climate at not more than 2 degrees centigrade temperature rise, is that we need all technologies, energy efficiency, nuclear, a large chunk of renewables, and we're not going to get fossil fuels out of the system anytime soon, so we have to find out how to use those better.
But the crucial challenge is that time is against us. If we're going to limit the impacts of climate change to what you might say are merely damaging rather than catastrophic, then the emissions of greenhouse gases have to peak before 2020 and then start to reduce.
Today, something like 40% of the world's power comes from coal alone. Around 20% is from gas. So the electricity which we all take for granted, getting on for 2/3 of it, is supplied by fossil fuels. So to get from that situation to a situation in 40 years' time, where we've decarbonised power generation almost totally, is a big step, both in economic and technological development terms.
There isn't a silver bullet for tackling climate change. We are going to have to pursue every avenue possible. So we're going to have to use energy much more efficiently than we have in the past. But we're also going to have to pursue almost every available source of low carbon energy, and that's going to mean renewables on a big scale. It's going to mean more nuclear power, but it's also going to mean carbon capture and storage with fossil fuel power stations, both coal and ultimately gas as well.
The biggest single thing governments could do to drive the decarbonisation of power generation will be to put a price on CO2 globally, a price that everybody has confidence is going to be there for some decades to come.
In order to tackle this problem, all of the countries need to act together in concert, and none of them can do it individually. So each country needs to know that every other country will do its bit. And that's really the problem about an international agreement. It's building that trust and a framework for ensuring that every country plays its fair part in tackling climate change.
Governments have to avoid the temptation to make intervention short-term. Industry will wait until there's stability to make the investments. Yet we know that these investments in low-carbon solutions have to be made quickly if we're going to tackle climate change on the timescale that climate change is happening.
We are in front of a fantastic challenge of totally decarbonizing power by 2050. Other major ways to decarbonize is the use of nuclear, is the use of renewables, including hydro, including wind, solar. We see geothermal emerging again as a credible renewable technology. We see the use of tidal forces from the oceans also coming up. So we need all of these technologies to be able to provide fully decarbonized power by 2050.
Alstom believe that climate change is the biggest global challenge that we face, that we have to tackle it, otherwise there will be no sustainable business for anyone. Alstom believe that we should tackle it as a matter of ethics, of our corporate responsibility, but we also believe that it's good business. We think there are solutions for clean power. We've developed a strategy of delivering clean power today, and we see this as making a major contribution to solving the climate change problem.